praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, and I want to give double honors to the apostles, the great millstone of Yasharallah, and I want to give all salutations to the brothers of GMS. Jeremiah 28 and 8. Yeah, if you get in the wars, the Bible prophecies, check it out. The prophet that have been before me and before thee of old, prophesying both against many countries and against great kingdoms, wars and evils and pestilence. You know, that's going on right now. Rumors of wars on the news, on Daily Motions, on the internet. That's what's going on in Bible prophecies. You know, it's evil. You know, people killing and drug dealing in America. That's Babylon. You know, you got pestilence. You know, in this kingdom of America. You know, it's all out of order, out of line.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for taking time out of your schedules to be here today. I've spent the last day and a half on Capitol Hill briefing the members of Congress on our 2018 National Defense Strategy. I'm heartened that Congress recognizes the sobering effect of budgetary uncertainty on America's military and on the men and women who provide for our nation's defense. 2 days from now, I will visit our nation's first Security Force Assistance Brigade at Fort Benning as they prepare to deploy to Afghanistan. To advance the security of our nation, these troops are putting themselves in harm's way, in effect signing a blank check payable to the American people with their lives. Our military has been operating under debilitating continuing resolutions for more than 1,000 days during the last decade. During last week's State of the Union address, President Trump said, "Weakness is the surest path to conflict." In a world awash in change with increasing threats, there is no room for complacency. Failure to implement or fund the 2018 National Defense Strategy will leave us with a force that could dominate the last war, yet be irrelevant to tomorrow's security. We need Congress to lift the defense spending caps and support a 2-year budget agreement for our military. America can afford survival. For too long, we have asked our military to carry on stoically with a success at any cost attitude. The fact that our volunteer military has performed so well is a credit to their dedication and professionalism. We expect the men and women of our military to be faithful in their service, even when going in harm's way. We have a duty to remain faithful to them. Absent a budget this year, America's military will not be able to provide pay for our troops by the end of the year. We will not be able to recruit the 15,000 Army soldiers and 4,000 Air Force airmen required to fill critical manning shortfalls. We would not be able to maintain our ships at sea with the proper balance between operations and time for training and maintenance. We would have to ground aircraft due to a lack of maintenance and spare parts, degrading our pilots' proficiency. We would deplete the ammunition, training, and manpower required to deter war. And we would delay contracts for vital acquisition programs necessary to modernize our force. I cannot overstate the negative impact to our troops and families' morale from all this budget uncertainty. Today's congressional action will ensure our military can defend our way of life, preserve the promise of prosperity, and pass on the freedoms you and I enjoy to the next generation. Thank you. I can take a couple questions here. Yes, sir.
General, how damaged would a shutdown be? Would a government shutdown be, given that we have this deal, if there was a decision to shut the government down because, for example, the wall wasn't funded in this deal, how bad would that be to the military?
Shutting down the government would be very damaging to the military for all the reasons I just cited about a continuing resolution, but then aggravated by the shutdown itself, where we actually send home all non-uniformed personnel except those in a few critical areas. It just paralyzes everything that we do if we go into that, other than the ongoing active operations at sea. And there, the troops will continue to fight, the ships will stay at sea, but the bottom line is training's delayed, the impact just ripples through the force, and it doesn't just happen today, it ripples on as people who are not flying are no longer gaining the level of skill that you and I would associate with them even a year from now when they're promoted. Yes, sir.
Secretary, you mentioned you've been spending the last day and a half on Capitol Hill. This is a Senate arrangement. Do you have any sense, sir, if the House leadership on the Republican side is equally receptive and as enthusiastic as you are? And also, service secretaries, particularly the Navy service secretary, has said the funding problems are not maybe a direct cause, but contributed to the deaths of seamen in the South China Sea, the two most recent accidents. Can you tell the country, if this money is in fact provided, all of the problems associated with training, maintenance that have been plaguing the military will be eliminated?
I am optimistic that what the House did earlier this week and what the Senate did today can come together this week and give us the budget that then enables us to carry out our responsibilities. By ours, I mean all the leaders in the Department of Defense who will address the issues you just brought up. Obviously, a lot of work goes into the execution, then the quality of the training, but you can count on us. We'll earn your trust on this. We will spend the money wisely.
Mr. Secretary, if I could ask you about the recently released nuclear posture review.
Yes.
Calls for smaller yield nuclear weapons to be added to our arsenal. You're on record as saying there's no such thing as a tactical nuke. Anytime a nuclear weapon is used, it's a strategic game changer. So how does this new posture review add to global stability? Because there are many people who believe that if you've got a smaller yield nuclear weapon, you might be more inclined to use it.
Right. Remember that what we're talking about here is the nuclear deterrent. And in that nuclear deterrent, we believe that some nations could miscalculate, one in particular, and that nation could assume that if they used in a conventional fight a small yield bomb, we would not respond with a very large yield bomb. Our response to this is to make a small yield bomb and say, don't miscalculate. It's a deterrent. Remember, deterrence is dynamic. It changes from year to year, from decade to decade. We have to address deterrence in its current construct. So if we do this, the idea is to raise the threshold. Don't even think about lowering the threshold to a conventional fight and escalating it to one small yield nuclear weapon, strategically changing the game, and then think our choice is either surrender or suicide, as Dr. Kissinger put it. Yes, ma'am.
Can you talk about where things are in the planning stages for the military parade the president has been seeking, and what any cost estimates you have for this program?
And I think we're all aware in this country of the president's affection and respect for the military. We've been putting together some options. We'll send them up to the White House for decision.
Question about North Korea, but just to follow up on Catherine's question there. You just laid out the argument for fully funding the military, why you think every dollar counts. So why divert time, energy, financial resources to the planning of a parade, as the president has asked?
Again, I think that what my responsibility is to make certain I lay out the strategy and make the argument for the oversight of Congress to make a determination of fully funding us. As far as the parade goes, again, the president's respect, his fondness for the military, I think is reflected in him asking for these options. Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, can I ask you whether you think that war is actually nearer or closer with North Korea than it was at the time the administration took office? And do you support any kind of meeting or communication between Vice President Pence and North Korean officials at the end?
So on the second, Vice President Pence is quite capable of making the call on that while he's in Korea. As far as the situation with Korea, it is firmly in the diplomatic lane. We have seen much stronger diplomatic action. For example, the last three United Nations Security Council resolutions, unanimous, and how often do you see France and Russia, PRC, China, and the United States, Great Britain, all voting, and other countries all voting unanimously? I think that makes it very clear this is firmly in the diplomatic lane, and we, of course, back up Secretary of State Tillerson's foreign policy efforts as guided by the President with viable military options. But thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.